Hi, this is Steve Michelotti, and today I am joined by Eric Egland and Andrew Ditmer of our global Black Belt team, and we're going to be talking about mobile apps powered by Azure Government. Now, you guys probably get this a lot. Global Black Belt, can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure, I know. It's an unusual name, but it's an exciting place to be in Microsoft. So what we do is, our team is called App Innovation. And what we do is help customers kind of do things for the first time. Like, for example, build an app in Azure that they've never done before. You know, they have a new subscription, new tenant. How do they build their first app? And we help them do that. So it's fun. I spent a career in government, and I get to help government customers innovate.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about mobile apps today. I've heard that you guys have this thing called the Office Locator app. Tell us a little bit about what is that?
Right. Yeah. So, I spent a career in government. I'm working with government customers all the time. There's all these challenges for going mobile, for going to Azure, and all these difficult discussions that take a long time, and budget planning and all the resources. And I thought, wow, if we could just sort of cut through that Gordian knot and show them just how easy it is to just get started. And once you're started, then you can decide, what path you want to go down. And so came up with the idea of a custom demo app that touches on that uses different Azure services, that's a fully native iOS and Android mobile app that can then allow government customers to use it and see how easy it is, and then expand from there.
Okay, so I think you sort of answered the next question I had, which was, how did it start? It sounded like it kind of started as a starter project, if you will?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. A starter project to say, hey, how can we make this easier for customers to just get going? And so it's iterated. We took a demo app that was available online and repurposed it to be able to address, I thought, well, what does every enterprise have? They have different offices. So we said, well, let's just do a list view of the different offices and allow people to drill down and get to other information and use a lot of functionality that you have in a mobile app that everybody sort of wants. So it can be, and then adding all the technical detail as well. So if I can, I'll
please do.
Walk you through a little bit. So this is basically the overview, right? So this is a way for government customers to, so if you think in terms of leadership and business units, and in terms of IT technical teams, to get what they want. One is to understand what's involved in getting going in this direction, what's the business value that I'm going to get out of this, and how hard is it, or how easy is it, or how much resources am I going to have to plan and allocate to this. So that's the idea. You can go from a spreadsheet with the locations, publicly available information for where your offices are, to a fully native app, like we're showing there. You got the Android on the left, the iOS on the right, and the code in the middle. So that's basically what we're able to do.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, I hear you saying that I can go from basically an Excel spreadsheet to having a fully native mobile app in Android and iOS running for my government agency without investing millions of dollars and 2 years of time. This might sound a little too good to be true. We're going to have to get you guys to prove it over the next few minutes here. Okay, so
that's a good point.
You got my attention. Yeah, let's keep going here.
It's worth pulling the thread, but that's exactly it. Yeah, without spending really any money, any kind of procurement action, you can just have the app. And that's actually how this started. I mean, how it first started was a pre-sales motion to say, hey, this is really that easy, and we had customers who would get it and were blown away just how that we did it for them.
Yeah.
And then they would take it to their internal stakeholders and say, hey, here's this app, and it has our logos and our information on it. And IT directors or business owners would say, where'd you get that? Like, we haven't put out an RFP for that mobile app.
Right.
Yeah. And they go, well, yeah, you don't have to, because it's so easy to get started. And boom, you've got their attention.
I think
so that's how we started.
The Excel spreadsheet's interesting too, because you're talking about this in the context of Office Locator, but I could put anything I wanted in this spreadsheet if I was interested in having a mobile app for something else.
That's exactly right. And I'll walk you through an example where a government agency, one of the largest counties in the country, is doing just that.
Great. All right. Tell me more.
Sure. Okay. So as you can see, there's a spreadsheet here, and so you're basically just putting in your basic address, department of XYZ, your address. There's hours of operation if you want to put those in there, and then there's an image link, and that's important because visuals are important, and if someone sees their own logos, then they don't feel like, oh, that's just some demoware that doesn't really apply to me. This is, wow, this feels like it's ours. And so you just put those image links in there, and you can go from that.
Okay.
And then shifting to the Azure services, so we designed this to be able. I mean, originally we just designed it as to focus on the mobile app, and we thought, well, where's the best place to put this? This is going to go to any number of government agencies, so we put it in Azure. And now as we're helping government agencies get to Azure for the first time, they also want to go mobile. Like those two things tend to go hand in hand, and so it's great. So Azure SQL, App Service, the cognitive services, specifically inside the computer vision API, you've got the smart thumbnail feature, and then Azure Functions as well.
So with putting it in Azure Government, it enables them to get all this functionality and at a higher level of compliance than even our commercial Azure.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So those security concerns and compliance concerns, those all sort of go away because I mean they're already addressed, and so they don't have to worry about that. They can focus on the app and learning about the app, and that's one of the values here. This shows the agency basically completes the spreadsheet, and then there's documentation, and that's what Andrew's going to walk through in the demo. There's documentation and code that's very detailed that they can walk through to learn. So the technical teams can see, well, how are these apps architected? How do you even do this? How do you architect the mobile app? How do you call in up these services? What's involved in that? And here it is. It's all laid out. So instead of a tutorial that might be what they want or what they don't, they get to see kind of soup to nuts the whole project, and it's right in front of them.
Okay, so they understand like how to use it. Once they use it, what's next after that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, so what they get to see, this is the neat part, is they get to see their own logos.
Okay.
And so that list view is what I'm showing right now, and basically that shows all the different logos, all the different departments that they have, and then you can drill down from there. But like you said, you could do people or any number of things. One government agency is using it for critical facilities that they have to kind of monitor time and for compliance reasons, how long has it been in operation, when was the last maintenance call, all those things, and they're using this as kind of the skeleton to build out the fully functional production app that actually meets their specific need. So you can drill down and see the office hours. You can see and the codes right there for everything. As well as calling up the native phone application to dial as well as to navigate. And then we also have just kind of the calendar and various data inputs, just different things that you would have, right? The pickers, all the different free text, structured text, things that you have in a mobile app. Right. So it's kind of a catch-all, and they can just see how you do that.
So it's really the best of both worlds. On the phone, you have all the native features. You mentioned the native phone app, but on the back end, on the server side, you have the full power of the Azure Government Cloud with Azure Functions and SQL Database and cognitive services.
Right.
You really bring a complete solution into the mix here. Okay, great.
Yeah. We take the intelligent cloud and meet it with the intelligent edge.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Okay. So how do customers and partners find this?
Yeah, sure. So this is available on a public. I'll bring up the address in a minute.
Okay.
But let me give an example where customers are using it for production.
Okay.
So this is exciting to me because it's really just a demo to get people going and get them comfortable. Los Angeles County is using this to enable their employees to find remote facilities. So they're doing a list view, and this is LA County Fire specifically.
Okay.
So one of the largest fire departments in the country because LA County is so sprawling, mountains, dense urban areas, all that. So one of their challenges is that in an emergency circumstance, people usually are moving quickly, and they usually have to go somewhere, get supplies or get equipment or uniforms or meet up with other EMS type people, and then go to the site of the emergency, go to the fire.
Right.
And the challenge is these facilities are so remote that nobody's ever been there before. And so they use this as the list view. Boom, we have to go here, drill down, okay, navigate.
Yeah.
And now they're able to do that. So they're in production on that now. And then they've liked it so much that they're expanding it to a personnel finder. This LA County has thousands and thousands of employees. How do I find you if I don't know you and we're both employees? Well, this is a great way to do it. So we've had it where customers use it for one real business use case and then actually expand it to another one. And that's what it was designed for, is to just be kind of useful enough, kind of a Swiss Army knife of mobile apps that a production need can be focused on and further developed.
Yeah, so wow, it sounds really like LA County is leaving a lot of these other counties across our country behind a little bit in terms of technical innovation, because they're taking this and running with it. And hopefully, based on their example, other counties can do the same.
Right, yeah, we're having a lot of interest as we go around. And shifting to the technical side, right? So your technical team can see that. So the business owners like this in LA County, for example, and I've met with a technical team who says, "Oh, this is great, right? We've read online, we've watched videos, but this shows us exactly how it's architected."
Right. Okay.
So calling up the different services. So yeah, so that's basically how you can go from a spreadsheet to a full app.
Okay.
And then this example, we're here in Washington State, and this is kind of the one I get most excited about. Is the state of Washington actually deployed this and had it built through an RFP and used it in a child welfare context. So had a lot of problems with people not paying child support on time. And when they interviewed people who were offenders in that way, right? And there's enforcement resources that go into that. It's a really difficult situation. They found that people didn't have access to electronic banking. They didn't have things. A lot of things that we might take for granted as being able to make payments and things. They didn't. So they had to find the right office to go. And a lot of times they had a hard time doing that. So they released this app and used the Office Locator code for that list view of listing all their different facilities and people, so people can find the facilities, engage with the facilities, call them, set up appointments, things like that. It's been out long enough that they hit a lot of important metrics, right? They had, so business impact is real. Yeah. More payments made, fewer enforcement actions, shorter time from the time periods they care about. There's a notice to payment, that kind of thing. Okay. So it's been exciting to see that actually translate to real business impact that helps people, and that's why it's fun to work with government, because it really affects people's lives.
Absolutely, definitely. That sounds great. Okay. So where do we go from here? There's the URL you mentioned in terms of where they find it if they want to get started?
Yeah, so exactly. This is it. The code's there, the documentation's there, and Andrew's there too.
Okay. So, all right, so now you got me excited here. I think we need a demo to kind of walk through this, and you've got me hooked here. Now let's see if this is really real. We'll get Andrew to come in and give us a demo on that. All right, Andrew, so why don't you come in and show us, walk us through this a little bit.
Absolutely. So here you can see the app running in iOS and an Android.
Oh, okay, so these are simulators that are running locally on your machine.
Correct.
You can see both platforms.
Yes, this is the Android emulator, and this is the iOS simulator.
Okay.
And behind it, you can see the code here in Visual Studio for Mac. And all of this works on Visual Studio for Windows as well. You just have to have a Mac somewhere on your local network to do the iOS build.
Okay, great.
So let's take a look at the app. Here's the list view that Eric was talking about. It's got all these different locations. In this case, I've set up the Office Locator for the Veterans Affairs Administration. So these are a bunch of different VA locations all across the country. I found some public data source. There's like 1,200 locations. I only had enough time to really process the first 100 to get them into that spreadsheet and import them. Okay. So we have about 100 locations. And here you see the list. Here's the detail page that shows the picture. In this case, I used a Google Street View of that location. And here we see an Apple map of the location. We can navigate from here, and it pulls up the native mapping tool.
So it sounds like you can really use any tool you want. You'd mentioned Google Maps, Apple Street View. We're not forcing you to use all Microsoft products. You can use open ecosystem, use anything you want.
That's right.
All right, great.
And then if we go back to the app, you can also call directly from here. Obviously, the simulator doesn't have a SIM card, so it's not going to call. But on a real device, you'd place a call right there. And then all this works the same way over on Android. Except on Android, we're using Google Maps. Right? We hit Navigate. It's going to pull up the Google Maps app. And then, of course, you can call from here as well.
Okay. All right, so we've got the app running on both of these platforms. So I assume in order to build this app, you needed a team of Android developers and a team of Objective-C developers. Obviously must be how you built this, right?
Well, actually, no. In this case, we used the Xamarin platform. Okay. And the entire app is written in C# right here in Visual Studio. So
you're saying you have C#, and that was able to do Android and iOS just with one C# code base.
Correct. And it's 100% native code.
Okay.
So you can access 100% of the native APIs for iOS and Android. you get a native UI on each platform. So this is using UIKit on iOS and using AXML on Android.
So it's not some HTML rendering
No.
with JavaScript. It's native code. C# is calling the native APIs.
Exactly. And your C# is fully compiled into the native binaries on each platform. So you get native performance as well.
Awesome.
So it's a fully native app written from a single code base. And it's backed by Azure Government.
Okay.
And here you can see we're pointing to an endpoint in the Azure Gov.
Awesome. So the demo you just ran where it was calling up those locations is actually talking to Azure Government.
That's correct.
Great. All right.
And one thing I wanted to add, Steve, is so we're talking about the value here for for people to be able to access this. Partners can really benefit from this, right? So partners who want to go show something to to a government customer or to any customer, the challenge with partners is how much are you going to invest to go do something at no cost to a potential customer? Like that's always the business development challenge that they have. Well, with this, they can do this for the customer that they're either engaged with or they'd like to be engaged with, and just take a list of 10 offices and plug it in, and be able to go show them, hey, here's an app with your logos and your information. Here, we know how to do this. And we know how to use Azure. We know how to take you mobile. It's a great way for partners too to at a low cost, low investment, be able to show this powerful capability.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So okay, so you've talked a little bit about the client side, building the app itself, but I heard you guys many times mention Azure services and how it's talking to the back end. What can you tell us about that?
Sure. So first, let's start at that aka.ms/office/locator-hack link that Eric mentioned. So that the hack there is like in a hack fest. So you can do a hack fest at your organization or in your community and use this as a step-by-step guide on how to do it. So it takes you to a GitHub page, and it tells you a little bit about what the Office Locator is, talks about the technologies it uses. And then down here at the bottom, it's got really a cookbook of different recipes on how to take this code, put in your data, set it up on your Azure subscription, and use it for your use case.
Okay, so I see right here, you're talking about things like the easy tables and the functions.
Correct.
That's what you're referring to. Okay, great.
So your starting point here will be this Azure Easy Tables hack.
Okay.
And you go here, and it's got a step-by-step guide, and step 0 is install Visual Studio.
Yep.
Okay. Done. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go step by step because we've got some of it done already. But next you go to the Azure portal and you create an Azure App Service.
Yeah.
And then you take a SQL database there in Azure, and you create an easy table pointing. Easy tables is a set of auto-generated web APIs that sit in front of a SQL database and allow you to interact with that.
Okay.
And so you create an easy table, and then we'll pick up right from there, and I'll show you kind of live.
So I really like those step-by-step directions because I might be someone's coming in with an Azure commercial subscription or in our case here, an Azure government subscription. Either way, I can follow those directions the same way. Exactly.
So if you look at the screenshots here in the guide, it really talks about doing it in Azure commercial, right? Here's portal.azure.com. Right. But here, for our demo today, this is all in Azure Government. Right. So there's no trickery here. Right. This is all 100% real demo.
Same developer experience, just different endpoints.
Exactly. So here we have the easy table.
Okay.
And this is connected to my Azure SQL through my data connections. There's my connection string.
Yep.
And then for my easy tables, here's the two tables that power the app. There's the location table and the feedback table. So one of the features of the app, if we jump back in there, is I can give feedback on any one of these locations.
Okay.
Right. And that saves it here in this feedback table in the database.
Okay.
But in order to put my location data in there, all I had to do is go add from CSV, and I browse to a CSV file here on my disk.
Okay, so here you're adding a brand new table. You already have one called location, but you're adding a new one, and this is, I heard you guys mention the CSV before. This is how we get from the CSV into an actual cloud database. Right.
This is how you take that spreadsheet that has all your data, whether that's locations or people or whatever you're wanting to show in the app. You just put that in the spreadsheet, and then you can import it into your database here.
Okay.
So I'll just give this a name called location 2, since we already have a location table.
Okay, great.
And then I come down here and hit import, and we see the import is in progress, and then it's finished.
So just like that, it actually inferred all the column names by looking at the CSV and said, I'm going to create those in the database, and it just sucked all that CSV in, and I've got a database table now in the cloud.
Yeah, correct. I kind of went super fast through that, but let's look at that again and see how it pulled out all of the different column headings.
Not only just the columns, but even the data types, strings, integers. Okay.
Correct.
Awesome.
And then we have our location 2 table here, and we can see that there's a bunch of different rows in here. We have several pages of rows.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's how easy it is to get that data up into a cloud database. And then to connect that to your app, all you have to do is go back up here to the overview page of your app service and grab the URL endpoint here.
Yep.
And come back into your app, and you paste it
there it was.
Right in here.
All right, great. So let me see those easy table one more time. I heard you mention the feedback table. So I can come in here to this easy tables. I can upload data from a CSV. If we go into that feedback table, can I actually see I can see the data. I see there's 2 rows.
Correct.
I still don't know if I buy it. There might be smoke and mirrors here. I want you to prove to me that this app is running in Azure Government by adding a new feedback item using your app that you were just talking to.
All right, so here we're in the iOS simulator, and I go to that leave feedback page, and I'll just leave a lot of these as default values, but I'll go ahead and put in my name. And then down here I can put in some feedback like, this was awesome, great facilities.
Ooh, autocomplete. It corrected your typo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is
just for free, native functionality.
That's right,
on the
it's using the native functionality of the
Okay.
device. And I'm here in the simulator and I'm using a physical keyboard, but on a physical device, it would pull up that virtual keyboard.
Yep.
And
I can swipe if I'm on Android, whatever.
Right. If you're using a third-party keyboard, it all works here in this app as well. You can tap the microphone and do dictation to it. All that is just built into the native platform.
I'd prefer to just tell my boss that I created the autocomplete functionality so I can get a promotion, and that'll be great. Okay.
It's a great time to be a developer, right?
Okay,
there's all these tools that just happen for us, right?
All right, cool.
So then I hit done here, and I'll hit submit up here. It says it's submitting my feedback.
Okay. Great, so it's actually making that connection to Azure, submitting it, saving it in the database.
If I come back here to my easy table and I hit refresh, there's that. There it is.
Now we have 3 rows. Okay, there it was, just got added. All right, you sold me. I believe it, no smoke and mirrors. That's great. Okay. And you mentioned the site where it has a step-by-step tutorial. I think I also heard you mention GitHub. So it sounds like you can pull the code from GitHub.
That's correct.
Is that the option? That's my only choice here?
That's one option, but also a lot of Visual Studio developers are used to starting their projects directly from Visual Studio. And so we have a Visual Studio plugin as well that you can install in Visual Studio, and then you just go File, New Office Locator app, and it has all the code in there. It also has an Azure template, and it will create all of the Azure resources you need. But the app service, the SQL database, all the functions, everything you need, and you just one-click deploy it from Visual Studio into the government cloud.
That's awesome. So it's not like I'm doing file, new project, new mobile app, and copy and paste a bunch of code in. It's actually new Office Locator app, literally pulling in the code.
Has all your code.
To go.
It automatically will put in your endpoint there because you're creating that through that plugin as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and thanks to Russ Williams on the U.S. public sector team, did that, and David Hathaway on the GBB team, and Dan Rigby. There have been a lot of people who've contributed to the code, and Charlene Wall, getting this out to government. There have been a lot of folks involved in getting to where it is, so we're really excited about it.
And Microsoft team supporting public sector so that you can lean on us for a lot of that work, and you can get up and running really quickly, hit the ground running.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, well, this has been really awesome. Anything else you can show us?
Yes. So our cookbook actually has 2 more recipes as well.
Okay.
So here on that GitHub page, we have the Azure Easy Tables hack, but there's also an Azure Functions hack and a Visual Studio App Center hack.
Okay.
And the Azure Functions hack is your next step after you have your app created and your Easy Tables and all the data in there. The next step is to put in your images of your locations. And so if you have, say, an image library, you can upload those into an Azure Blob storage, and each upload will trigger an Azure function that will then use cognitive services to create a smart thumbnail of that location, and then store the URI to its location in Azure Blob storage into your Easy Table, and so it's immediately available in the app.
Oh, I see. So that's really compelling because the Azure function can call cognitive services. You're using cognitive services to create that thumbnail, but you could use it to make sure it is an inappropriate photo
Correct.
being uploaded before you create the thumbnail, and you can really use these in all these different combinations.
Absolutely.
Okay, very cool.
And all that, how to do that is, again, is step-by-step right here, from creating a new function app to doing your blob trigger to which code to actually do. So you just copy and paste this in there. And yeah, so it's a really easy way to take your images and make them available to your app.
And Azure Functions is our technology, our serverless technology, where you don't have to stand up a whole website, and it can just monitor, in this case, a blob or a queue or whatever case to trigger its functionality.
Correct.
Okay, awesome.
And then the third recipe in here is for Visual Studio App Center, which is a way to do DevOps for your mobile app. So it'll do everything from cloud builds each time you push code to your code repo, to automated testing, to distribution of it, to crash reporting and analytics.
Wow.
And this walks you through how to do all of that.
That is awesome. Okay, great.
So one thing that, this originally started as something we did for customers, and this is the first time that it's become self-serve.
Yeah.
So what we'd really like is feedback. So we'd encourage, anyone who's watching to give it a try and see how it works for you, but give us feedback. This is kind of coming out into the wild for the first time. So we'd be grateful for any feedback that, on ways we can make it better or things that seem to work well. We'd really appreciate that.
And it's already on GitHub, so they can give that feedback directly on GitHub. They can engage with you guys directly there.
That's right.
Okay,
So they can go to this repo, create issues. So we already have a pull request.
Awesome.
So somebody has made changes and requested that we bring those into our mainline repo. So
very cool. Very cool. All right, great. All right, thanks, guys. Okay, this has been very informative. This has been Steve Michelotti, along with Eric Egland and Andrew Ditmer, talking about building mobile apps powered by Azure Government. Thanks for joining.